All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Help my honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers, and peace and blessed salutations to hopeful leg out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to the body of Shalom to the hopeful leg, the believers, the listeners that have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And what I want to get into today, is dealing how, we're living in the time, of the great transition. All right, we're living in the time of the great transition, and I want to say it's the great transition because it's the last transition of kingdoms. This is what the scriptures all led to. The eternal rulership of Israel in the earth. All right, Yahweh Shai establishing the throne of David, in the earth eternally. That's what this thing was all about. And our forefathers, heavily anticipated this day. And we in those times now. All right. And I want to read this scripture in the book of Luke chapter 10, verse 24. And it says, "For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them." All right. It says, "And to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them." Yeah, because now in this time we're right here at the doorstep, of this last transition of rulership. You see, we're right here at the doorstep. You have you have Esau, Edom, all right, which is the end of the world, all right, the end of this age, of heathen rulerships, and then you have the elect being raised up, all right, for the rulership to come. You see, because we're hearing, see, the disciples, the apostles, our forefathers of old, they wasn't hearing about World War III. They didn't, things wasn't in its fulfillment yet. They weren't hearing about nuclear missiles. We're hearing these things, man. Wars and rumors of wars. You see, we're actually hearing these things because going back, all right, there was a time period when because the promise, when you go into the scriptures, the promise, our forefathers knew what the promise meant. Our forefathers knew, all right, about rulership. You see, this last era of Christianity, has nothing to do with rulership. It's about being submissive, and being rewarded when you go to the spirit world, all right, which has nothing to do with the end game of the scriptures. You see, the Bible is a book of rulership, a real life, Game of Thrones, scenario when you really go into the details of the scriptures and you follow the true narrative of the scriptures. You see, and our forefathers knew that it was speaking of a kingdom. That's why Ezra was saying, "Why do we not have an inheritance with the world?" You see, he was talking about rulership. Apostle Peter, when he smote the ear of their servant, all right, he was ready to take down the Roman Empire and establish what? A kingdom. That's why he asked Yahweh Shai, even after resurrection, all right, what was he asking about? Would thou now restore the kingdom to Israel? He was talking about a rulership in the earth for the nation of Israel. You see? So our forefathers, they always knew, that the promise, all right, was speaking of a rulership to come for the nation of Israel. You see? So our forefathers always looked, to that time, and even going back to Ezra, he wanted the end to come then. He wanted, he was asking, why can't everybody just be born now and let's go ahead and get the judgment out the way, and let's establish Israel. You see? So it says many prophets and kings, because David, he wanted his rulership to be perpetual. Solomon, when you read Ecclesiastes, he knew all was vanity, because he knew, that there was other rulerships to come. He know that he didn't have immortality, man. So he knew, all right, that everything was vain. But seeing the kingdom to come, all right, it's gonna be eternal. The scriptures talk about what? The rulership without end. And see, we in that time. Because there was a time period when, like I say, we had to wait on the Assyrians to come in power. We had to wait on the Babylonians to come in power. We had to wait on the Greeks to come in power. We had to wait on the Romans to come in power. The Romans will fall, and our people will rule during what they call the Dark Ages. The elders and apostles, went into it in the street teaching. They went kind of in depth, into that period what they call the Dark Ages. When our people was ruling, and then guess for 1,000 years, and then we had to fall again. Esau had to come back in power. So it was a time where we had to wait on all these things, man. The transatlantic slave trade, you had to wait on all these things to happen, man. But see, now, all right, these things have happened. You see? And now that's why scripture say, speak peaceably, all right, to Israel. You go to Isaiah the 40th chapter, I want to say, it says, speak peaceably. Isaiah 40 at the beginning, Isaiah 41 it should be, when it say, speak peaceably to Jerusalem, tell them that their warfare is accomplished, man. You see? So now we're in the time where the Most High is finna bring back that captivity. You see? Now he's finna pull captivity off us and set us up in rulership, and we right here at the doorstep, man. So this is that last transition, all right, of power that the earth will ever see. There'll be no more transition of kingdoms after Israel, comes into rulership, this last time. This is it, the last transition. So we're in times now where we just gotta, endure what we have to endure, dealing with, because the last obstacle, all right, the last trial is Jacob's trouble, in the MOB. You see? And that's why, now we have to have a mindset to be willing to lose everything at the drop of a dime. We can't be attached to anything, man. No matter what we got, we can have a thriving business, we can have good jobs, we can have decent cars and houses and, things of this sort. But we gotta be ready to lose these things. We gotta be ready to lose these things at the drop of a dime. We can't try to see people, all right, in the times to come are gonna try to fight to maintain a particular lifestyle. All right, and that's why Yahushua say they that save their life shall lose it, because this ain't life. You're not living until you're in rulership. You see? You're not really living until you're in rulership. Because when you, all right, are subjugated, to the emotions of another people, because that's what it is, man. Because this whole New World Order agenda, all right, is nothing but Esau throwing a tantrum, to try to offset the prophecies, man. He's still pissed. He's still mad about, us having that blessing, man. You see? So we gotta deal with the pettiness of this nigga, all right, until Yahushua come back. So we're not living, all right, within this setup. But see, people, a lot of our people are under delusion, all right, that this is, good as it gets, man. And they're gonna try to save their lifestyle, which has led them, to taking, their jab, and it's gonna lead them to taking, their MOB, man. But it say those that lose their life, all right, shall find it. You see? Why, man? Because it's going that act of faith that we show is going to put us in a position of favor, all right, from on high. And when Yahweh Shah returns with that immortality, man, all right, those Israelites, that was willing to die, or even the ones that do die for the testimony of Yahweh Shai, all right, will be rewarded, all right, with immortality, man, and rulership. You see? Well, Yahweh Shai say, hold fast that to which you have till I come, all right, and I will give you power over the nations, man. So we're here, we're at the doorstep, man. Now it's just a thing of enduring, constantly, detaching from this place, keeping it simple, finding our balance, as we wait, upon that deliverance, as we see this place continue to fall, hey, watch and pray, the scriptures say, So, yeah, that's pretty much the point. Just want to bring that out, Lord, will you brothers and you few sisters edified till next time I say shalom.